Everyone, welcome. Hi, welcome. I've missed you all. Welcome to Beyond Small Talk every Thursday at the 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Hour. And today you are watching Beyond Small Talk. Thank you for joining. My name is Jackie Janik. I'm a women empowerment coach, helping women uncover their purpose and define their own path in the world. And today, you are watching Beyond Small Talk every Thursday. I've missed you since 2 weeks ago. I've missed you all so much. Beyond Small Talk is real women, real conversations, elevating womankind one talk at a time. And today, I'm very excited to have as my co-host Samantha. She is a mother of four, yes, 4 children. She's an entrepreneur, she's a boss lady, and she prioritizes self-care. How does she do it all? Her business is called, and she'll have to pronounce this better than me, and I so apologize because I do use her products right here. I'm like swearing by this. LaParea Wellness, and it's a whole wellness company that has all the things that we're going to get into and talk about, but I'm so excited to have her on. Let's get Samantha on. And today our topic is all about women can we have it all? Can we do it all? And self-care and how to incorporate that into our daily life, even if you are a mother of this. How does she do it? I think I know. I think I have a sneaky suspicion what one of her number one thing. Hi, Samantha.
Hi, how are you? Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I was just introducing you. Please say and let us know a little bit more about the company. You're a founder. I'm like, oh my God, you're a mom of 4 and you have a company.
Yeah. So it's LaParea Wellness. A lot of people confuse it with LA, which I told you, but that's
Yeah.
okay. I don't take any offense on that. So yeah, it's been very interesting in the last couple of months with homeschooling and everything to balance, home and work.
Yeah, and again, with 4 kids, balancing that and homeschooling, there's it just sometimes feels really chaotic and out of control. Well, for me, I don't know, I'm assuming like that happens. I can tell in your face. You're like, yeah. So can you tell us, I'm so interested about, because I brought up that I do use your product and Somnia I use, and I use it with my daughter who I've mentioned she's autistic, and giving her a few sprays of this before she leaves of school has like this a bit of a calming effect on her, and it's just really nice, and I sprayed it on myself just before starting. Can you tell us a little bit more about the company, why you started it?
So, I before I started my company, I used to work as a registered nurse. And as a nurse, I noticed how little in I want to say medicine, they promote self-care. I think you have to be more in the holistic route. But I
Mm.
noticed how stress really impacts our health. And I suffer from migraines, anxiety, you name it. And that really got passionate about it. And I noticed the difference when I actually took care of myself a little bit more. And I said, you know what? I think, I started this 5 years ago. I feel like I needed to bring that into the world. And now it's like it's getting a lot of attraction, especially during the pandemic. So that's what
Yeah, I mean, now more than ever, do we need self-care? And I like that, you're redefining also what self-care is. I think a lot of beyond small talk and what I work with clients and talk about is that there's self-care while we have, and you are one that has all these beautiful wellness products, that there's more to it in addition to using a wellness product, right?
Yes, when I guess the commercialization of self-care, it's like, oh, you just get like a little mask here, or
Yeah,
you just get a massage, which is nothing wrong with that, let me
no.
tell you. But definitely, it's mental thing. Like, you have to be actively, intentionally taking care of yourself mentally, physically, emotionally. All those components, balancing those out, it will help you have a better like lifestyle and improve your hair overall. So that's very important. Not just those little things, but like you have to look at yourself overall and say, how can I take care of myself today? How can I improve, mentally myself, emotionally, and physically?
Right, because it's more where like have multiple layers of ourselves. How do you define self-care? What is your definition of it?
So, Jackie, if I were to ask you, do you take care of yourself? What would you say?
Yes, I do.
Right. Now, what people should do is ask themselves that question and be like,
Mm.
how do I take care of myself? What are you actively doing, like intentionally? Not just like, oh, I like take care of myself, taking a shower or eating healthy, right? But are you doing it actively? Are you taking a moment to think, is this, I might be mindful by doing this to myself? Am I being gentle to myself by doing this? Am I saying no to things that I should have said no before? So I think that's my personally my definition of self-care. It's like being active, taking care of yourself, making sure that you just don't randomly do these acts, but you actually take a moment to pause and you make sure you take care, you add this into your daily life.
Yeah, and it could look different every day. I just love Yadi just popped in and she said, scanning for your needs daily, what you can do change based on what you need during that day. And I 100% like this is so true. Like it has a lot to do with self-care is offering an opportunity of self-awareness. You know, so if you, I like that, scan your, what are you doing that day and what you need. Some days I need a nap, like this morning. My daughter has not always the best sleeping patterns. And today I was like, my dose of self-care was a nap. And I feel like that's great. Other days it looks like how you said, I like the point of saying no and like setting boundaries. I always say no is a complete sentence. I don't have to explain myself. Right?
Exactly,
Sometimes I'm
exactly.
sure, you know, no comes out to children and your children sometimes. And it's like, no, just no.
No, like you, no.
I don't need to explain myself. It's no, and that's a complete sentence that I use. Um, so how do you find self-care time for you? How do you factor it into your day? Do you
So,
schedule it?
like,
Like, what do you, yeah.
yeah, it's interesting. Like you mentioned it, you have to see what is good for you that day. For me, let's say I go for a hike, or I take a bath, or I do journaling, or I do some meditation, etc. I actually add into my Google Calendar, and I'd be like, okay, my kids will be, doing stuff at that moment, or I have somebody taking care of them, and I'd be like, okay, I'm actually scheduling my baths. I sometimes scheduling my hikes, especially if it's not really early in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to wait for a perfect time to do it either. I have taken baths in the middle of the day. I know it's like an extra step because you have to go back and wear regular clothes, right?
Or
But
do
I
your
do
hair and
it.
makeup or yeah, but
Yeah,
yeah,
without a
yeah,
reason. Like I
yeah.
got all dressed up on Saturday and had nowhere to go. But it made me so happy and I put like 90s music and I was having a ball.
But that's it. Like you know what you needed that day, and that. So
Exactly.
I guess what it sounds like that self care can take on any kind of form um, that fulfills your joy of the moment, or any sort of. We don't have to be so attached to what the form of self care can look like, because it could actually look like, I guess, anything that you need in the moment to care for yourself. That's kind of like you know.
Correct. And like I said, like what is it? Jaritza mentioned it is. Oh yeah, I agree. It's hard to get back to work, but you know what? If you don't, it's like think about self-care as like eating. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
you have to add
Hmm.
it every day. You have to put it just like you make time to eat or you make
Yeah.
time to sleep. You have to make time for that. And sleeping is part of self-care, right? But is this a good nap? Like you just didn't pass out because you're so exhausted. Like whenever I try to do take a nap during the day, I do meditate a little bit before that. Like you said, everybody has their own definition of self-care. So there is no wrong or right answer, but as long as you're actively being mindful of what you're doing for yourself that day, I think that's the key.
Yeah, and so I like that you schedule it in because and sometimes I've even sent my husband like calendar requests saying this is my time. So it's like out there in the universe, and people know like this is where you know. That do you ever get sometimes it sneaks in a little bit this whole kind of mommy guilt thing of like I should be doing this or I should be doing that. Does that ever come up for you, and two, if it does, what can you offer people to how to like overcome that obstacle?
So Mommy guilt, oh my God.
Yeah.
That's something that even until this day, even me doing my self-care practices, I'm in the middle of a bath or I'm doing something like journaling and I hear one of my kids crying. And I'm like, oh my God, what's happening? Maybe I should just, like, my first intention is just go and see what's happening. And sometimes, my husband puts my daughter to sleep and I'm like, oh, I didn't get to say goodnight to her. But you know, sometimes as we get into this position of being like, okay, you're a mom and this is what you are, or this is who you are, that we forget as women the person that we are. And I did that, at the beginning of the pandemic, I was just like serving everybody's needs. And I forgot a little bit about myself, even as being a self-care advocate. And I was just so exhausted emotionally and mentally. So every time that I do these scheduled things for myself, especially now since everybody's in the house at the same time,
Mhm.
I keep reminding myself, how was it when I was really overwhelmed. How I feel now I'm even a better mother because I take time to take care of myself and I don't feel as stressed and overwhelmed like I was before. So it's gonna happen, but you have to make the time. Even just, you can't pour over an empty cup, right? So you
Yeah,
have to do it.
exactly. And I feel like giving myself the time when I am with my daughter or with family or with friends, if you have more to show up with, like how you said, pouring from an empty cup. So, if you take that time and you hear, one of the children crying or something or whatever, it's like, one, they could probably fix it on their own. And a lot of sometimes, like, I'm the person. I hear my daughter, I'm like, oh, what's going on? Like sometimes I just need to relax a little bit and like not take it to the like 10th degree all the time, right?
Yeah, because if you're already overwhelmed, right?
Yeah.
And then there's the shouting and the madness never ends. It just escalates even more. You get even more overwhelmed. So it's like a never ending, you know, cloud of things happening around. So you just have to.
Yeah, and Tammy just wrote. Tammy is also, she's a health coach and a nurse as well. She wrote self-care is a necessity, not a luxury. Yeah, and I think that's so true. And I said it's essential. It's survival. I call it survival, especially now. So saying you're home, it's a pandemic, and the kids are at home. It's like how do you manage all of that and stay sane? Self-care, right?
Yeah, that's the key. And and your kids fed off of you, like I
Uh,
notice when I'm
mm,
very stressed, my kids are like jumping off the wall or they're like, mommy, 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 right? When I'm calmer, when I talk to them, they're stressed out with their own problems, because even kids now have, right, homeschooling and all
yeah.
these things, trying to figure it out. They get a more reassuring response from me that if I were to be overwhelmed. So I'm trying to teach them also about self-care. So I think now everybody in the household, even, if you have a puppy or you have a kid, like everybody needs to get checked with their self-care.
That is such an excellent point that there's no right age to start, right? Like teaching
Correct.
them. And I think that, I'm 44 and I've seen like my mom might be on here. I think I saw her. So I'm calling her out again that I didn't see her all the time take care of herself. Like that wasn't the example that I saw. And like you said, your children play off your energy and your vibe. So, and they're going to emulate things that you do. So to set that example, I know you have a daughter, two daughters.
I
What do
have three girls and one boy.
Oh my God. So you have three little
Yeah.
women
Whew.
following you, and even a guy, a boy, because one day if they have a partner or whomever, to understand that moms need self-care time too. Growing up, did you have anyone that gave that role to you, showed you what self-care even meant or was?
Well, back then they didn't call it self-care,
Yeah.
but it was more like so, it was a mixed culture, I want to say.
Mhm.
First of all, if you were upset at something or you were anxious, I just realized, that I was anxious as a kid. But the first thing they tell you is like, oh, stop being a baby or stop
Yeah.
crying, right? Um, Sometimes you're just being a little, dramatic, I want to say,
Mhm.
but other times it's just that's your true nature, that's your true feelings. So they did some of that, oh, brush it off type of thing, which now it just took me years and years to realize like this is things that you actually have to start with kids as young as they can understand what that is. And but on the other hand, I have my grandparents who definitely taught me like some of like routines, like having some tea time or going for hikes and taking nature in. And that I guess we were being mindful without knowing that we were being mindful about it.
Mhm.
So that's how I try to bring that stuff now with my kids, try to do those little teachings that I got.
Yeah, it's actually like doing like rituals. Like, how are
Yes.
these? Like, I've started hearing that. I don't know why it's been popping up around me a lot. And of course, I always think it's no coincidence. For some reason, I've been in things that have been telling me about rituals and habits. And I was like, now I've been starting to incorporate that into my routine during the day. And, I've been taught a lot about a morning practice where you journal and meditate. And I don't always have that specific time to fit it in, but whatever form it takes. So my rituals, I love my dream cup. I don't know, I just do. And to me, this is like my self care. Like, don't bother me. Let me drink a cup of tea and just be. Like, just be, like, I think also with self care, sometimes there's the pressure of doing around it,
Yeah.
not all the time, but like some of it, it's like, oh, let me go do this or let me do this. Sometimes I think self care could just look like sitting and being, like the meditation. But I've heard women say, oh, I don't know how to meditate. I'm not good at it. There's no such
Mhm.
thing as like not knowing or not good at it. You just be like, can you sit with yourself? Can you sit with yourself? What can you?
Yeah, and I'm sure a lot of people were in the same spot that, with the Thanksgiving passing, the last
Hmm.
week. All I wanted to do one of those days, I just like sat in my couch, watch a couple movies, and I was like, I'm just gonna be here and relax for a couple, for like an hour, I think, because I watched a show. And to me, that was very like rewarding. Like I had a great experience, and I didn't feel like I have to go and go for a hike right at that second, or I have to go and do these other things. So it definitely, I agree with you on that.
Yeah. And then I'm sure like putting on it now, like a working mom you are, you have the company, you're an entrepreneur, you're a boss. I'm sure that teaches you a whole lot of that you need to schedule in your self-care, right?
Right, I didn't do it before. Like the only thing I
Yeah.
would schedule is like I make an appointment to meet up with girlfriends before or go to like sort of like a spa or something. That was the
Hmm.
only time that I would schedule it. But now, working from home is not easy. It just feels like it keeps on going. But with homeschooling and everybody home, it's like the wheel doesn't stop. So that's why
Mm-hmm.
you have to schedule them in other because it will just take you with you. It will just take you, and next thing you know, you don't know what's happening, and it's been, like a month, and you're overwhelmed, and you haven't maybe taken a shower for days, and it's hard. It's not easy to do. You could just pencil it in, right? But organization of all those things take a little bit of work, but it's worth it. Like don't let everything else take the time out of you, the essence of you. Just learn to say no sometimes.
For sure.
I cannot stress that enough with kids. Learn how to say no sometimes.
Yeah, and it's okay to say no, right?
And
And you're not.
explain. And when I start explaining my kids, like they're a little, some of, the little one doesn't get it, but the older ones get it. Like, mommy needs her little me time. And they're good with that because they see, kids understand certain things. They see how hard you're working and trying to
Yeah.
make it work through these times.
Yeah, they know. And like we were talking about, they feel that energy and that vibe off you. So, can you tell us a little bit more? I love why you started the company. And as a registered nurse, you saw that self-care or more of these holistic approaches, I don't think are always incorporated in like the medical world.
Yeah, lately they are trying to, like,
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of hospitals do like aromatherapy.
Mm.
When I gave birth to my little one 3 years ago, they came in. It's like, oh, they came with the essential oils for nausea and stuff. So they are trying to add it, which is great. but you know, it's like it's a lot more work. It's definitely like it's a whole new thing that everybody has to open up to. And you know, like I said, that's what I wanted to bring that with my brand. It's to create like a lifestyle of self-care and self-care routines that you could find mindful moments throughout your day and throughout your life in general for better, you know, lifestyle.
I love that, mindful moments. Because at home, now working from home, I've been lighting a candle. That's just kept me feeling better and like calmer and just more, I don't know, more centered or like grounded.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, in my house, they were not like candle lovers,
Hmm.
and now they're like, "Oh, what candle is that?" You know, even though I make candles, they were like, "Oh, you turning on a candle again?" But now they're all like into it. They're definitely I'm transforming my family little by little.
Yeah. And like we were saying, it's like a little ritual or it's a little habit that you pick up that I don't think like I like what that you said that, there's the medical community is starting to bring more of this holistic approach, right? But it doesn't happen overnight. It's a practice, I think. I think it's a combination of like you can't just light a candle and all of a sudden. It's like you have to continue to do it. Maybe with aromatherapy, or I love doing it, is continually spray it, but also have the mindset around it, right? Like
Yeah, like I said, you have to create that intention, right? So if you
mm-hmm.
just go and let's say you grab your spray like you know, and then you're done, it's like, okay, I'm gonna spray this because I want to create some serenity around me, right? Like maybe even add some affirmations in there. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have a great day. I'm gonna spray this, I'm gonna feel so relaxed, and I'm gonna get with my day.
Yeah, so set intentions around these self-care, mindful moments during your day. Oh my God, that's a great tip. Everyone
Yeah.
listen to that. Set some intentions around your mindful moments around self-care during the day. And, you know, realize how much you get out of them. I think sometimes as women, mothers especially, we're saying that it's not luxury, it's survival, it's essential, but there's still somewhat of this mindset that it's just being extravagant or it's like being selfish. What do you say about that?
Um, I heard about people saying like that. It's
Yeah.
like so, and that's why when it comes to saying no, it's not only saying no to people, but saying no to the idea of
Mm.
what people think or like people that being bringing this negativity into your life. Like, oh, you have all the time in the world. It's like, look at you taking a bath in the middle of the day. Like, I immediately hear that and I'm like, whoop. And need because I am stuck here and the walls are starting getting closer and closer and closer and I need an outlet and the best outlet is to create mindful moments. Take care of yourself.
That's a great, oh my God, great tip and a great ending. I'm getting some weird pausing on the live. Are you?
Oh, yeah, it's a little bit. Let me see. Is
Yeah.
that
No,
better?
it's just, oh no, it's not you. I think it's mine. So I don't want people to miss anything that you just said because that is just take mindful moments with intention. Thank you so much. And do you have, I want to continue to plug some of your products. Um, because I mean, at Beyond Small Talk and personally myself, I don't just promote women businesses and support them. I walk my talk. Like I buy it. I have been very intentional and mindful for this whole Christmas holiday. Anyone I do buy gifts for, it's being not many this year. I make sure that it's like a woman's own business because that's who I truly want to support. So, do you have any recommendations for something that, say, if we are have a lot of anxiety lately, what can we get or what would help us?
Well, Personally, in my experience with myself and my kids, the sprays work amazingly. Usually people get either, Zen or chill, as
Mm.
kind of like a stress reliever, give you a kind of sense of calming. Somnia, usually for me, it's a little more potent. And what is a funny story behind it, it's like while I was trying to make up this blend, I kept on, every time I had to take a nap afterwards. And I didn't know what I was gonna call it, but I was like, I'm gonna call this, like, how you have insomnia. I was like, I'm gonna call it
Yeah.
somnia, because every time I'd be yawning and I was like, oh, I gotta go take a nap. So these
That's
four
so funny
sprays.
because my daughter takes it differently. It just gives her, like how you said, the zen that you use or chill. Her level needs this, and your level puts you to sleep. Hers just takes her down. So I think even testing these things on like how it affects you personally.
Yeah, definitely. So I think aromatherapy, it's a good start. That's how I started with my
Hmm.
self-care. Then I went into like my bath salts and candles and journaling and meditating. So you slowly start discovering these new outlets of what can define your own type of self-care practice. But yeah, I think it's essential oils and the essential oil sprays are definitely a good start for that. From the beginning of the day, like I start with the miler spray with Zen, and that
Uh-huh.
towards the end of the day, it's like Somnia, because I'm ready to like wind down and relax.
Right. Yeah, because now I've been reading more up about sleep because sometimes it just doesn't happen for me. And that you could have a ritual and a practice around it as well. So it's like using a spray, not being on any devices or getting the blue light from the devices and starting to turn down is another ritual. And it's a self-care practice. Again, like you said, sleep. I said, like, if sleep is like probably my most important thing, and I think anyone who's had a child or many children, or especially autistic children, you get to cherish sleep.
Oh
I'm like,
yeah.
they should use that for like in torture. If they ever have, if you have to ever torture someone, take away their sleep. It's like you can't function. It's like insane.
Yeah, I don't sleep a
uh
lot, but definitely when I miss like I slept either an hour less what I usually do, or half hour less, like
yeah.
my mood is completely different. So sleep is very important too.
You feel it, and especially as moms, there's obviously periods of time that you can't because newborns or whatever, but I highly recommend, highly, I tell people all the time, please find time to sleep for yourself. That's an act of self-care, sleep.
Right.
um,
Yeah.
well, thank you so much, Samantha. Can you tell
Thank
everybody
you.
one more time, let's talk the company name and where we can find you?
So it's LaParea Wellness, and the handle is right there. And I have my own website, and it's lapareawellness.com. And let me know if you guys sign up. It gives you like a $5 off for like first time shoppers, and I'm always having like great discounts there to help everybody during these times, because I've been doing the same thing, shopping small from other women, because it's not easy out there, especially competing with the big companies.
Yeah, for sure. And today I know and promoting that Samantha is talking to a mutual friend, Caitlin, of at Style and Motion Shop. I'm wearing one of her sweaters. She has been dressing me
Oh,
over.
same here.
Yeah, you have, yeah. And again, I'm from Women Owned. So thank you so much. And really, we encourage everyone listening to Beyond Small Talk to find self-care, mindful moments, with intention for self-care. And if you
Yes.
need a little help, go shop. I will put your website in here as well as your handle, follow, sign up for your newsletter and everything. But thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Jackie, for having me.
Anytime. Beyond Small Talk every Thursday at the 4 o'clock hour. Check us out on Spotify and Apple Podcasts to replay this and listen to some of Samantha's awesome tips about being a self-care advocate. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.